Hi, my name is Mallory Goodrich, and this is my final reflection for EDET 650, which is part of the Learning Design and Technologies Master's Program at the University of South Carolina. In this presentation, I'll give an overview of my internship experience. I'll describe the deliverables that I made as part of this internship. I'll talk about the projects that I managed, my relationship with my mentor and client, and then key takeaways and things that I learned during this experience. As part of my internship, I plan to take an inventory of the hardware and software being used at Mansfield Mission Center. I plan to assess the effectiveness of their current software through a needs assessment survey, and then develop a needs assessment report outlining the results of that survey and proposing a plan for updating current software. Finally, I plan to create a continuity and recovery plan that Mansfield Mission Center could use in case there was an interruption in service. At the completion of my internship, I produced 4 deliverables: a hardware inventory survey, a software inventory survey, and a needs assessment survey, which were combined into one, a needs assessment report, and a reporting an incident job aid, which would be part of the continuity plan. The hardware inventory survey had 2 main parts. The first part was general information identifying the employee and the location where they worked. And the second part was about their device. It asked whether it was a personal device or one that belonged to Mansfield Mission Center. It asked what kind of device it was, the manufacturer, as well as identifying information like the serial number or the service tag code on the device. The software inventory and needs assessment survey were combined into one. First, it asked for general information identifying the employee and the location they worked. Then they were asked to describe the software, what it was used for, and the version that was being used. Then it asked for purchasing and licensure information. Next was the needs assessment survey. Employees were first asked to rate the software on a scale of 1 to 10, express their satisfaction in 8 different areas, and give suggestions on how to improve the software. The needs assessment report outlined the purpose, the process, and the results of the needs assessment survey, as well as gave recommendations and a plan for updating software at Mansfield Mission Center. It was quite a bit longer than I expected it to be. Also, because of low participation on the needs assessment survey, it does not give a full picture of the effectiveness of the software at Mansfield Mission Center, which I state at the end of this report. My final deliverable was a job aid on reporting an incident. These are the steps employees would take to report an incident if it occurred during business hours. The plan was for this to be included in the continuity and recovery plan. Some of the strategies that helped me manage the projects and the time for this internship were sticking to a schedule. I did my best to stay on schedule, the schedule that I outlined in my internship contract. That helped me ensure that I was not working on too many projects at once and that I was spending a reasonable amount of time on each one. While I stuck to the schedule, I also remained flexible. As the internship went on, I had to adjust my timeline because I had to push out the deadline for responses to my needs assessment survey in hopes to get more participation. That caused me to push everything back about 1 week. That pushed me to revise my plans. I originally planned to complete the continuity and recovery plan, but after discussing it with my mentor and Dr. Grant, I decided that it would be best for me to push the continuity and recovery plan work to after this course is over. I would still complete it for my client because I agreed to, but I wanted to make sure that I produced a high quality product. So I pushed it back and will be completing that in the next weeks here, even though my coursework is out. Working with a client that runs a business is a new experience for me. Most of my career, I've been a teacher in a classroom. So working for this nonprofit was a brand new experience for me. Some of the ways I maintained a relationship with my client and mentor were weekly check-ins. I would email weekly, updating my mentor on the things that I worked on that week and sending him the deliverables that I completed. About halfway through the course, I requested an in-person meeting. It was great to touch base and put a face with a name. And sometimes when you're working remote, things can get lost in communication. So it was really nice to have an in-person meeting to give some updates on the things that I was working on and the things that were upcoming. Finally, when working remote, I felt like a lot of the work was on me and I couldn't necessarily ask for support, but I did end up asking my mentor for support. I had very low participation on my surveys, so I reached out to my mentor to see if he could encourage his employees to respond to the surveys so that I would have enough data to complete my needs assessment report. I still had low turnout, but after he reached out, I did have several more employees complete the survey, which was very helpful. So I learned that asking for support when you're working in this sort of setting is very important. As I said before, this was a brand new experience for me, and I learned a lot during this internship. Some of the most important things or the most helpful things that I learned during this internship were first using Microsoft Forms. I had never used Microsoft Forms to make surveys before. I had always used Google Forms. So using Microsoft Forms was a new experience. It took some getting used to, but once I had the hang of it, it made it very easy for me to collaborate with my client because they use Microsoft 365 as well. I also learned to set realistic timelines or realistic expectations. Like I said earlier, I kind of over planned the projects for this internship. I had planned to complete that continuity and recovery plan. However, when it came time to do that, I realized that my timeline did not allow enough time for me to produce a high quality product. So I ended up pushing it back to outside the scope of this course and will be completing it in the upcoming weeks. Also, I learned to make meaningful connections even if you're working remote. As I stated earlier, that in person meeting that I requested with my mentor was really helpful for us to get on the same page and open up lines of communication. So I definitely learned that when you're working remote, it's very important that you go out of your way to make connections with your clients, whether that's in person or through a Zoom meeting over a phone call. Sometimes email is not the best way to form a relationship. So when you're working remote, you need to find ways to do that, even though it might be a little more difficult. Thank you for your time. This was a great experience for me. I really believe in Mansfield Mission Center's mission. They serve my local community, my friends and neighbors, so their work is close to my heart. I am going to continue volunteering for Mansfield Mission Center, not always in a technology capacity, but in other capacities as well. If you have any questions or you want to connect further, my contact information is on the screen. Again, thank you for your time.